So good evening, everyone. So again, welcome and thank you for joining today. And we will start as usual, trying to quiet our mind, trying to bring our mind in moment present by focusing on the breath. Okay, few moments. Just so try to relax yourself. And make yourself comfortable. And try to let go of all the thoughts of past, futures. And try to bring your mind in the moment, in the present, by watching the breath. When you breathe in, watch it, breathing in, be aware you are breathing in. And as you breathe out, watch it breathe, being out and be aware. So just simply, just observing and being aware of your inhalation and exhalation. Inhale and exhale. And when your mind's calm, settle in the moment, try to generate good intention for being here. We can think the higher purpose of being a human being is to be able to be help and benefit not only ourselves, but for other sentient beings as well. And to be able to be more help and benefit to oneself and others. We need to transform our mind, become more enlightened, have more kind, develop more kindness, compassion, good heart, altruistic, awakening mind, the stronger we have those, the more we will be able to be help and benefit. And in that way, not only we bring more happiness in others' life, we also have more inner satisfaction, joy, happiness to be able to do that. And also in order to reduce the pain and sufferings towards others and oneself, we need to reduce those harmful negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, such as anger, impatience, too strong attachments, jealousy, pride, and especially strong selfish attitude and self-grasping ignorance. The less we have those negative thoughts, feelings, the more peace, more calm, happiness in our mind, in our life. And the less we hurt and harm others. In order to reduce those negative thoughts and improve those positive thoughts, emotions, we really have to train our mind. Discipline our mind through contemplation, meditation practice. And in order to practice, train, we need to learn about those techniques, how to train our mind. And we need to be reminded all the time for that very reason that we have come here to listen and to engage in the discussions and reflect, contemplate. And whatever we find beneficial here, we try to take it home and try to apply, integrate as much as possible in our everyday life. May us coming here to listen and to reflect, contemplate, may all these become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be not only benefit to others and oneself, but to be able to be greatest benefit and help to others and oneself. And not only for few others, but to each and every sentient beings. Okay.
Prayers. Praise to the Shakyamuni Buddha, to the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, to the one gone beyond, foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, nor of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduers from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the Great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. The heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling in a mass of vultures mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including the mind, no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of a wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared, Tayatha Om Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Bodhi Soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Nagarjuna, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoiced. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Saji Bodhi Yokshin Meto Tramri Rablinshi Nile Gambadi Sangye Shindu Mite Uwa Indro Kunaya Jilai Chubasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niriyatayami Sangye Chodang Soke Chonam La Changtu Bhaktu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chushen Gibe Sonam Ge Drola Penche Sangye Drupasho Sangye Chodang Soke Chonam La Changtu Bhaktu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chushen Gibe Sonam Ge Drola Penche Sangye Drupasho Sangye Chodang Soke Chonam La Changchu Bhaktu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chushen Gibe Sonam Ge Drola Penche Sangye Drupasho.
Sangye Duje Nizone, Tamje Bombeje, Tambe Chune Tenjene, Kodam De La Chatsa Lo. So we have been following and discussing a particular text by one of the greatest Indian masters, Nagarjuna, known as the second Buddha. In the Mahayana teachings, the contribution he made towards that, most after the Buddha. So that is why he is known as second Buddha. And so we have been, among many of his writings, we have been following one particular writing, commentary to Bodhichitta. And within that, we finished the sections where he discussed about the ultimate awakening mind of Bodhichitta, and that is related with wisdom, realizing the ultimate reality or the truth. And then we are now in the sections where he talks about cultivating the altruistic attitude or the mind of, the awakening mind Bodhichitta. And within that, first he explained one particular technique, how to cultivate that mind, particular technique. Subsequent cause and effect. So we discussed about that. And then he's a chapter where he explained about cultivating these altruistic intentions of awakening mind based on another technique of meditations and what we call equalizing, exchanging self with others. And within that particular techniques, we discuss about the first point of the meditations, equalizing self with others, meaning, and that being aware and feeling that we all are same and equal, that just as we want to be happy and do not want suffering, each and every sentient beings wish to be happy and not to suffer, and we all are equal in that. Just as we have right to be happy and not to suffer, everyone has right to be happy and not to suffer. Just like we have potential to be happy and not to suffer, everyone has the potential to be happy and not to suffer. So trying to meditate on that and really feeling that we all are same and equal in that level. And second and third point of meditations is, meditating on the fault and disadvantage and shortcoming of selfish attitude, and meditating on the benefit and goodness of cherishing for others. And so we are in that particular points. And last week we went a verse where it describes, how all different level of happiness, temporary happiness, ultimate happiness, all the comfort, all the enjoyment, all the good things, all the success, all the happiness we enjoy within samsara, it all comes through contributions and kindness of others, directly, indirectly, Also, even the happiness that we enjoy on our spiritual level, all the spiritual experiences or realizations on the path, they all come through, again, contribution and kindness of others. And even the result, when we achieve fully awakened state, the ultimate happiness, even that one come through the contribution and kindness of others. So through that, while we meditate on that and again try to contemplate, try to feel, and once we have that feeling, then trying to generate a strong, feeling of appreciations, feeling the kindness of others, contribution of others, and feeling close with them, and through that cultivating, sense of compassion. And then, whatever unpleasant experiences we experience in our life, whatever unpleasant experiences, painful, suffering, problems, whatever experience, recognizing that it is a result of our own actions, negative karma actions, which are a result of our own afflictive emotions, especially the selfish attitude. On the basis of that understanding, instead of blaming others all the time, we try to blame on our own selfish attitude. Through that, then we try to crush our selfish attitude, our egoistic mind, because it is that our egoistic mind, that our self-important, selfish attitude, that is the root of our problem and suffering. That is the main cause of our problem and suffering. Even though there are many other factors, conditions, but the main factor, is that our own selfish attitude that make us painful, that bring us suffering and pain. So that was the little bit kind of summary from last verses that we discussed last week. So with that, I think we finished the verse number 81, yeah? I believe. Yeah. Does anyone remember? I think I finished 81. Yeah, and then we are on 82. So when we have that understanding, when we have that understanding, how all our comfort, prosperity, success, happiness come through others directly, indirectly contributions, others direct and indirect kindness, with that understanding, then we try to develop a wish to repay the kindness, develop a sense of cherishing thought for others, trying to develop sense of loving kindness towards others, compassion towards others, cultivating good thoughts, good heart towards us, towards them. Through that, then then we try to help and support them in whatever way we can, directly, indirectly. Sometimes we will be able to help them directly in different ways. They need help, and we have the opportunity to help. We have the resource to help, and we try to help. And that could mean many different things, depending. Sometimes they need our financial support. Sometimes they need our different help or different skills in different fields, your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom. Sometimes they need our emotional help, being there, supporting them emotionally, listening, to their problem, their sufferings. Even sometimes we cannot help, just listening can be a great help in that moment, in that person's, and just giving your time and totally out of really with great compassion, you just try to be there, just listening, And then if it is required to give some suggestions, some opinions, some advice that can be helpful, we try to provide. Sometimes we don't need to provide any suggestion, any opinion. We just be there for them, listening, Or sometimes maybe they need help with, other things, Dharma knowledge, Dharma experience, and again, providing that. And sometimes there are things maybe we might not be able to help them directly. There's nothing much we can do, sometimes. Then we try to help them indirectly, keeping in our prayers, sending our prayers, keeping in our heart. Even though physically we cannot do much, but at least we can try to support and help them indirectly through our meditation practice, through our prayer, keeping in prayer, sending the prayers, dedicating our virtues for them. Whatever virtues, positive karma that we have created, we dedicate for them, their well-beings, So whatever way that we can support, we try. So that is the way, support others with all possible factors. That is what it means, Whenever it's possible, directly, indirectly. By being able to offer such help, support, benefit, not only we are helping and supporting them, indirectly, we are also supporting ourselves, helping ourselves too. By being able to do that, we are improving our own love, compassions, our own spiritual progress, our own spiritual path. So it helps and support both others and oneself, everyone. As Lama Tsongkhapa made in his Lamrim, as I think I've shared also before, he said, the Bodhichitta mind, the awakening mind is such, even though you think of benefiting others and helping others, but by product, it actually helps you and benefit you. Your intention and motivation is really support and help others, but you really get the benefit and help from that yourself. And therefore, as His Holy Dalai Lama always says, sometimes he said it is half joke, half true. And he said, if you want to be selfish, be wise selfish. Being wisely selfish means, out of love, compassion, helping and benefiting others. Because when out of true love and compassion and love, when you try to help others, benefit others, you get the most benefit yourself. At the moment, we become selfish but unwise, fully selfish. We want, out of that selfish, we want to best for ourselves, but it hurts and harms ourselves instead of benefiting ourselves due to that selfish. So that is what, similarly, that's what. So protect them as you would with your own bodies, So we try to cherish others just as you cherish yourself. When we understand how each and every sentient beings, directly, indirectly, directly, indirectly, contributes towards our well-being, happiness, as I mentioned before, when you realize that, when you recognize that, when you feel that, then you feel close to them. You feel close to them. You feel they are close to you. You feel they are, dear to you. By feeling that closeness, that dearness, then of course you cherish them. And when you cherish them, when you cherish others, just like your own life, when you cherish, just as you cherish your life, then you also start to cherish others' life, And with that cherishing thought for others, then, we try to protect them from any pain, any sufferings, from any cause of suffering. Again, directly, indirectly, whenever it's possible, whenever it's possible. Whenever there's opportunity, whenever there's possible, we try to, just as you protect yourself from any harm, any problem, any suffering, any pain, we will do all the time, all the time. We will always try to protect ourselves from any danger, from any pain, any suffering, any harm. In the same way, why? Because we cherish ourselves. In the same way, by cherishing others, and we try to, in whatever possible way, whenever possible, directly, indirectly, through either three doors, body, speech, and mind, all of them, we try to protect them from any smallest danger, problem, suffering, pain, as much as we can. So that is the Bodhisattva path. This is the Bodhisattva practice. This is the Bodhisattva path. And the advice here by the Buddha, Nagarjuna, all the Bodhisattvas, it's not asking to do something is not possible. Then do not never ask to something that you are incapable or that you are not possible. They advise you to do things is where you can do and when you are, is possible. So again, we have the potential to do that. We have the potential and the capacity to that. And so for others' happiness, your own happiness. So next, detached towards other sentient beings must be shunned as you would a poison. So here, detached here, meaning, not having compassion. Okay. As I mentioned one of the verses before, also in some others, also sometimes the attachments. Normally, attachment is a negative state of mind, one of the negative emotions, one of the three negative emotions. But in certain contexts, attachments refer to compassions. So I think in one of the verses, I think earlier, where he talks about after the wisdom, once you have the wisdom generating the wisdom realizing emptiness, then you should develop attachment to sentient beings. In that attachment is talking about the compassions. As I mentioned also in one of the other asangas, writing also there is insert one verses again here. So here attachment meaning not the normal negative emotion attachment, but here compassions. And detachment here meaning not having compassions. Okay, so that is what it means. So detached towards other sentient beings, not having a compassion of other sentient beings, must be shunned as you would use poisons. If it's a poison, you will try to, try to keep it away. Try to keep it away. Try to protect yourself from that. Try to keep it distant. You should try to abandon. You should try to abandon the poisons. In the same way, then not having attached, not having a compassion to other sentient being should be abandoned. Instead, you should have compassion. So that is what it means. So you should always try to keep. You should always try to develop compassion for other sentient beings. Because compassion is the key to your happiness of others. Compassion is the key to your temporary happiness and ultimate happiness. So, why we should have compassion and why we shouldn't be, why we shouldn't not have compassion or distant from the compassion. Because of the detachment, that is 83, verse number. Did not the disciples attain lesser awakening? So here he's talking about those who are on the lesser path of arhat, those who are not on the mahana path, but who choose to have individual liberation path, such as arhat, those who have been free from all the delusions, and arhat who are free from all the delusions, and therefore free from all the sufferings. When they achieve their enlightenment, when they achieve their enlightenment or awakening, they didn't achieve the full awakening or full enlightenment, but instead they achieve lesser awakening or lesser enlightenment. Why? Because of not having compassion, great compassion. Because they didn't develop the great compassion and bodhicitta mind. Due to not having the great compassion and bodhicitta mind, even though they have greatest wisdom, even that they have great concentration or shamatha, even though they have a great moral discipline, all this practice, through that practice and path, instead of achieving fully awakened or fully enlightened state, the ultimate state, they only achieve, lesser awakening, lesser enlightenment. The reason is, even though they had the wisdom, they didn't have the great compassion of bodhicitta mind. That is why. Therefore, here is saying, same way, if you want to achieve not a lesser awakening, but full awakening, if you want to achieve not a lesser enlightenment, but full enlightenment, highest ultimate enlightenment, then you should not give up great compassion, bodhicitta mind. You should always practice great compassion, bodhicitta mind. So that is what he is saying. On other hand, the Bodhisattvas, by never abandoning the sentient beings. So this is referring to the Bodhisattvas. On the other hand, the Bodhisattvas who are on the Bodhisattva path, out of their great compassions, out of their great compassion, out of their great loving kindness, out of their great bodhicitta mind, they never abandon sentient beings. They never stop for working for the well-being of sentient beings. They always, out of that compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta mind, they always try to not give up sentient beings. They always try to protect the sentient beings in whatever way, directly, indirectly, protecting them from the sufferings, pain, dangers, cause of suffering. They try to help to improve their happiness, support them in whatever way they can. Through such actions, they never abandon the sentient beings. And through that, such practice and such path, then at the end, the fully awakened Buddha attain awakening. And then they achieve, as a result, not a lesser awakening, but fully awakened state. Not a lesser enlightenment, the fully awakened, fully enlightened state. So, the Bodhisattvas at the very beginning, from the very beginning, when they entered the Bodhisattva path, they cultivate sense of true love, compassion, and bodhicitta mind for the benefit of sentient beings. Why they train their mind, why they practice, why they do train their mind and practice to cultivate true love, compassion, and bodhicitta mind, is in order to be greatest benefit and help to other sentient beings. All sentient beings, including yourself. When you call all sentient beings, it does not exclude yourself, but including yourself, all sentient beings, in order to be greatest help and benefit. That is the very beginning when they try to enter the path. They try to actualize that mind for that purpose. Then once they enter the path, when they are on both the path, and as they progress on both the path, the first 4 paths and 10 bhumis, as they progress gradually, and as they engage in bodhisattva's practices or conduct, such as the practice of 6 perfections, 10 perfections, the practice of gathering and benefiting sentient beings, 4 means of gathering and benefiting different practices on the path. Why do they practice? Why they do practice generosity? Why they practice moral discipline? Why they do practice patience? Why they do practice meditative concentration? Why did they practice the wisdom? Why do they engage in the practice of power? Why did they practice in method? Why did they practice in prayers and exalted wisdom, all 10 perfections? Why do they engage in such practice? In order to benefit and help others, to help and to benefit others. That's why, throughout the path, they engage into the 3 eons to, purify and create merit by helping and benefiting sentient beings. The purpose, the motivation is always to help and benefit sentient beings. So while on the path, it is to help and benefit sentient beings. And then when they achieve the enlightenment, fully enlightenment, the reason to achieve that fully enlightenment, fully awakened, is to be greatest help and benefit to sentient beings. And after enlightenment, they continue to be help and benefit endlessly, day and night, in order to be help and in order to help and benefit sentient beings. So the Bodhisattva never abandoned sentient beings from the very before entering the path, while they are on the path, until they achieve enlightenment, and even after they achieve enlightenment. And because of that, because they never abandoned sentient beings, working for the well-being of sentient beings, out of true love, compassion, Bodhichitta mind, therefore they achieve, when they achieve the result of their path, when they achieve the result of their path, they achieve fully awakened, fully enlightened state, of fully awakened or fully enlightened state. The state that can accomplish, that has accomplished, or that can fulfill highest purpose of oneself and others. The state that is free from not only the delusions or defilements, but also free from subtle obscurations, free from all the obscurations. Whereas arhat, they are free from the obscuration and defilements or delusion, but they are not free from the subtle obscurations. And therefore, the arhat, even they are free from the delusions and no more suffering, but they haven't perfected their own well-being and well-being of others, whereas fully enlightened one has. In terms of actualizing all the knowledge, all the positive qualities, the arhat has not been able to accomplish or actualize all the positive qualities. They have not been able to actualize highest level of true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and all the other bodhisattvas' spiritual realizations. But the bodhisattvas, when they achieve the end result of their path, a fully awakened state, then not only it has freed all the obscuration, but it has actualized all the inner positive qualities, all the inner positive qualities, all the spiritual realizations. And because of that, then, they have limitless tools and power to be great help and benefit to others. They have greatest help and benefit, method or tool to be greatest help and benefit to others. So here Nagarjuna describing two different results. While you are a path, when you achieve the result, the bodhisattva path and non-bodhisattvas, individual liberation path, when you achieve the result, there's very different result, and the difference is because one choose the path without giving so much attention to develop true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind. On others, the bodhisattvas, they focus and emphasize so much on true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind throughout not only throughout the path, but even from the beginning, before even you enter the path, and then throughout all the path. So through that, again, what here is what Nagarjuna explaining is, the importance of never giving up true love, from cultivating and to improving and to maintain true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, no matter how difficult it might be sometimes. Of course, it is not easy. To start with, it's not easy to really develop true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind. It's not so easy. And even we have able to develop true love, compassion, and Bodhichitta mind. Sometimes it might not be so easy to maintain all time. Sometimes we encounter different people or sentient beings who are not so nice, who are not kind, who are cruel, mean, unkind, very cruel, mean to yourself or others, And in such situation, in such circumstances, it's not easy to maintain the love and compassion. It is easy to lose the love and compassion in that such instant, in such situations, in such moments. So here, Nagarjuna is advising, even in such situation, even with such difficult people and others, you should never lose. You should never lose the love, compassion, Bodhichitta mind. If we don't lose the love and compassion, Bodhichitta mind, we will not abandon the sentient beings. If we lose the love and compassion to that sentient being, then we will abandon that sentient being in that moment, in that time. At the moment we lose the love and compassion, Bodhichitta in that moment, then what mind arises is, frustrations, anger, hatred, ill will feeling, resentment, grudges. When you will live the love and compassion in that moment, then all these other negative emotions arises. And when those negative emotions arises, immediately whatever peace, calm, happiness you are enjoying before is gone. Once those negative emotions arises, in that moment, you lose your mental peace. You lose your calmness. You lose whatever peace or joy, happiness you are having before, you lose in that moment. So those minds steal your joy, your enjoyment or your happiness. It steals your mental peace and calmness, It destroys your virtues karma that we have created with so much effort before. With so much effort, we try to create so much virtues, positive karma with so much effort. In a moment of that, it can destroy many of them, so much of them. In the moment of that, it destroys that. It destroys the seed of the inner seed of our goodness. We have the seed of goodness. To be kind, compassion, loving. So when you have those negative thoughts, it crushes that. It crushes the seed of that. It is starting to grow, and then with that negative ill will feeling, anger and hatred, it's like, plant is starting to grow, and then you step on them. Do you get it? The plant is starting to grow, and you step on them, and then you stop them from growing. It crushes the seed of goodness. We all have that seed of that, goodness, compassion. It crushes that. it makes it more difficult to develop again such love and compassion, to grow again. That seed, to be able to grow it, makes more difficult, And when we're in that state of mind, we lose our mind a lot of time, We lose our mind. We are unable to make right judgment in that moment. When we are more peaceful, calm, happy, we can use our brain better. We are able to use our reasoning, logic, think better. We are able to use our brain, mind better, and we are able to make better judgment. Whatever decision we take, whatever decision we take, we are able to make better decision, make better judgment. But when you are in that negative state of mind, when you're in a rage, anger, strong anger, strong feeling of resentment, ill feeling, then our ability to reason, our ability to use reasoning, logic, our ability to think correctly, properly, and make right decisions, make right judgment, we lose that ability. In such mind, and we most time, more likely we make wrong decisions, wrong judgment. So again, it eats that, and of course, physically, such mind effect, if you have blood pressure, it will go up when you are in this anger rages. Your blood pressure will go up. If you have sugar, that will go up. A lot of people can have a heart attack in such moment, have a stroke in that moment, a lot of things. It has a very negative impact on your physical well-being, not only emotional, mental well-being, also physical. On other hand, when you're able to keep the love, compassion, mind, even in such difficult, even with such difficult situation, with difficult people or that, then, it helps your mental peace, emotional peace. It helps you to use your brain, mind better. It doesn't destroy your virtues, but instead you create more virtues. You create more positive karma. Instead of crushing your seed of loving kindness, compassion, instead it's like pouring water, and in that your loving kindness, compassion to blossom, to grow it further, So it helps, and it helps your physical well-being. Your physical well-being. It helps you to keep your blood pressure, if you have sugar, all more balanced, more, instead of increasing it. So it helps on that. It helps you, it helps others. When you are in that negative state of mind, anger, hatred, ill will feeling, most likely we will say something that is hurtful, harmful to others. We will show, even you don't want to show, the other person can feel physically that person is upset and angry, and that make them other person fearful, suspicious, And of course, sometimes we can be physically violent as well. Even you don't become physically violent when you are in that state of mind, other person can see in your face, in your actions, behavior. And that can make them, other person, very fearful. Fearful. In that way, that is how we harm and hurt others. Physically, verbally, mentally. So it hurt you, harm you, it hurt and harm others. It doesn't help benefit anyone. It doesn't help benefit anyone. It doesn't help benefit in short term, it doesn't help benefit in long term. On others, when you are able to keep love, compassion, Bodhichitta mind, even in such difficult time, it helps you, it helps others. It helps in short term, it helps in long term. So therefore, here, that is why here the advice is never give up such cherishing thought of love, compassion, Bodhichitta mind to others, no matter what happens. Of course, it is easy to maintain when things are going well, when people are nice and kind. It's much more difficult to maintain when people are not nice, when they are not kind. Not only they are not nice and kind, but when they become mean and cruel, but still here, the best is to still not give up and still try to keep that, because that's the best and most beneficial for yourself and others, everyone. So they're here in the next verse number 84. Thus, when one considers the occurrence of fruit of beneficial and non-beneficial deeds, so it's kind of summarizing, what we already have discussed, the result or the fruit of beneficial deeds and the beneficial mental state of cherishing thought for others through loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta is, the result of such is temporary and ultimate happiness. Is a happiness for oneself and others. On the other hand, by engaging in non-beneficial deeds, unwholesome, non-virtuous, unbeneficial deeds through body, speech, and mind, that is driven by selfish attitude, self-centeredness, then the result in unpleasant. And the result or the fruit of that is unpleasant, pain and sufferings. It hurts and harms yourself, it hurts and harms others in short term, long terms. Immediately, when you experience consequences of that in some way this life, and then, in the future. So all in Shantideva's, the guys are both a way of life, he summarized at the end, again, giving a lot of reasoning why selfish attitude is the root of all the sufferings. Different examples, different experiences, result. And by explaining, the result of cherishing for others with a different experience and result. And at the end, he summarized, whatever suffering there is in the world is a result of selfish attitude. Whatever there is happiness in the world is a result of cherishing for others. And what is there more to explain? Just look at where we are and where the Buddhas are. And that is his summarize. Where is Buddha now and where we are? He said, at one time we are equal, Buddha and we are same, in the same samsara world, same, with same shortcomings, faults, with same delusions. But over the time, we are still in samsara, still with the delusions, still sufferings. And Buddhas who are free from the samsara, free from all the delusion, free from all the obscurations, free from all the sufferings, and achieve ultimate happiness for themselves and achieve all the highest level of tools, knowledge, experience to be greatest benefit to others. And Shandeva says, we are still here now in that state because we follow the selfish attitude. We didn't try to overcome it. We didn't try to, get rid of it. Instead, we follow it. Instead, we become the slave of selfish attitude and just follow it. On other hand, the Buddhas, even though we were same at one time, he found the path and then he put a lot of effort to destroy that selfish attitude, to increase and improve the cherishing thought for others, which is true loving kindness, compassion, bodhichitta mind. By working that, reducing the selfish attitude or self-importance or egoistic mind, and cultivating the cherishing thought for others and improving it strongly, and that is where the Buddha has reached wherever that Buddha is, and we are still here. And so he is saying, two very different results. If we look our state and if we look the state of Buddha, it's totally different result. There's no comparisons. There's nothing to compare in terms of the result where we are. And the different result is because of following different two states of mind. One follow the cherishing thought for others, and one follow the selfish attitude. And so here similarly, that being the case, here says, how can anyone remain, even for an instant, attached only to one's welfare? So here is saying, how can we only be just concerned? How can we be just concerned only the well-being of ourselves and not to think the well-being of others? To a certain degree, even many of the animals, they think of welfare of others. If you see in the life or realm of the animals, even some animals, they try to protect another animals from being bullied or by eaten or by attacked by another animals. Sometimes it doesn't have to be their children. Sometimes it doesn't have to be the same species. Sometimes even is non-species, even is not their children, even is not same their species, but when another animal is trying to attack another one, sometimes they will try to protect that. That shows, that has some concern for the well-being of that animal they are trying to protect. Even the animals, we can see that. So as a human beings, how can we be less than animals in that way? Just only being concerned with your well-being and only thinking of your well-being and not thinking about the well-being of others. And so therefore, so with that understanding, then we'll try to, through training, through meditation and practice, we'll try to develop more and more sense of concern for others. Not only concern for ourselves, but also concern for our families, friends. But to go beyond that, not only being concerned for our family and friends, but going beyond that and to be able to have, concern for the well-beings of the whole state, being of the whole countries, people in the whole countries, whole world, whole universe, not only the people, all the animals, all the sentient beings, And again, our mind has the capacity, ability to expand that love, compassion to all sentient beings. Again, it is not that our mind does not have that capacity and ability. If we train our mind, our mind do have the capacity, and we do have the capacity to expand that sense of love, compassion, caring, concern that we have for our family and a friend. We have the capacity to expand beyond that and to feel for beyond that, and eventually to each and every sentient beings. And that will be wonderful. So here, that is what the advice, Nagarjuna's advice is. So maybe I will open for a couple of questions if anyone has questions. There is Mark behind. Mark has.
I disagree with stuff. I am not averse to suffering. To me, suffering is like the call. It's like the invitation to wisdom. And when I hear, when I hear to relieve all people of their hunger and their, negative emotions and all that stuff, to me, I think, well, I don't want to relieve that. What I want to do is give them the vision to use that to find their own wisdom. And it also seems like the source of compassion. No suffering kind of means there's no string pulling me toward compassion. I mean, why would I be compassionate about if everyone is happy? What's the point? Yeah, and the other thing I've done differently, I always feel uncomfortable when we, I don't know what the word is, when we commit to motivating things with for the well-being of others, because for me, that was a place I found inside of myself. It didn't require any sort of commitment, but it required years and years of feeling my suffering and their suffering before I realized that there seemed to be a place inside of me that and I presumed that all people have it somewhere inside of them, that has that sort of infinite capacity for caring and for valuing benefit of all sentient beings. That's
Okay, thank you. I think there is so much there. First of all, definitely, as I mentioned before, we all have that the potentials, the Buddha nature. We all have, in essence, in nature, we all are altruistic, kind, compassions. The seed is always there. Some people have been able to discover that. Some people have need to put more practice to discover and to feel that. If we just talk about one lifetime, definitely you see certain people from very young age, much more loving, caring, compassionate, and other children or other people. Certain children or people are born with more kind, compassion, loving, caring. Certain people are born with not same kind of love, compassion, caring for something from very young age. They are less compassionate, less loving, less caring. And because we come with this kind of different personality or different nature from Buddhist point of view, because of from our past. Someone who is born with much more love, compassion, caring naturally, is because they have done the practice in the past. They have done the meditation or practice in the past, so they are just carrying that. But if they have not practiced at all in the past and not in this life, then it wouldn't be. Otherwise, it should be for everyone. The reason why everyone is not is because, again, you need to work with your mind. You need to train, practice, meditate, whatever way. So that is one thing. Certain people find easy in that because of their imprint, because of their past practice. So maybe they require less effort to feel sense of loving, compassion, caring that, But of course, even when they feel naturally, easily, still they need to work on that. Otherwise, that they can lose that too. It's not that they, that mind will always be there. Someone can lose that too if they don't take care of it. So that is, again, until we reach certain point when there is not, when you reach certain path, certain high realization, then there is no coming back, or you will never lose that. But otherwise, it is possible to lose. So that is one thing. Second thing about sufferings, I think, of course, when we have sufferings, avoid the pain and sufferings. Everyone is trying to avoid the pain and suffering in general. If you see the animals, if you see the human realms, because they do not want. Why they are trying to avoid? Why they are trying to avoid being too cold? Why we try to keep ourselves warm? Why don't we can't withstand in freezing? Because we don't want that pain and suffering of coldness. Why we are unable to be in hot, sweating and 120, and when in such situation, why do we want to get a cold place, whether we have air condition or some other form? Why? because we don't that suffering of heart is unbearable, and we don't want it. So therefore, and that is just an example of, is a clear example why I want, when it's too hot, why I want cold, when it's too cold, why I want a little warm, because I cannot bear the pain or suffering of too hot, too cold, or too hunger. When I'm too hungry, when I'm sick, whatever pain that I'm having, physical pain, why I want some kind of cure, treatment, because the pain is too strong. I cannot bear it. It's something I don't want it. And so therefore I'm looking for something to relieve that, to cure that. So, and that is, everyone's experience, so therefore that is, even from the young child, the moment the child is born, even when they are not open their eyes, from that you can see, when they are too much hurt, too much pain, whatever, they cry, they make you, so because, or when they are hungry, so again, that shows they don't, they experience the pain and which they cannot bear, and they don't want that. And when someone try to help them to reduce of that, then they feel more calm, peaceful, stop crying, peace. So that show that. But despite we try to avoid the pain in whatever way we can, sometimes we try very hard, but we cannot avoid. Suffering, pain is part of life. We can try to avoid a lot of things, and we might be successfully being able to avoid some things, but some things we cannot avoid. Sometimes we take care of our body very well, trying to do everything right, diet, exercise, whatever it need to keep healthy. Even if we try all, but still sometimes we get sick. Despite trying to avoid not to get sick, sometimes we cannot avoid getting sick. Avoid getting old and, some sudden discomfort, challenges with old age, not so strong as when you are young, so not, so anyway, we try to avoid dying, but we cannot stop. So and there are many other, these are just, so many things in our life we try to avoid, but sometimes we cannot avoid. Life is the way it is full of suffering, full of pain, full of challenges. So then when we experience those suffering, then instead of looking at negative, then you try to look positive, the way, Mark, you do. And that is how to, so this is something you try to avoid, you cannot avoid. That is the reality. You have to experience it. And if you say, oh, this is something I do not wish and I shouldn't have, why I'm having it, it makes you more painful sufferings. Your mind becomes more, because something you are trying to push and you are unable to push. Something you are trying to escape and run, you are unable to escape and run. Instead, we make friends with that. Instead, we embrace that. Instead, we say, oh, it's a part of life, it's nothing, it's natural, it's just way it is. And then you look something positive in the suffering. By looking something positive, just as you said, because of that suffering, then you are able to feel the suffering of others. You are able to feel compassion for others. So therefore, the suffering is good in that sense. So there are many, because of the suffering, it inspires you to practice more. It encourages you to practice more. So so you try to look positive in that, and by looking positively toward the suffering, and instead of trying to push it so away, but in trying to just be friending with it, and by embracing it, it becomes less painful. It becomes less painful, even maybe physically, we might be experiencing the pain, but mentally, we don't suffer so much. And because if we don't suffer mentally so much, also on physical level, the physical can be also reduced, pain can be reduced to a certain degree. So that is so that is. And then in terms of the other, if there's no suffering, then there is no compassion. It is true. It is true. And if there's no suffering at point when everyone becomes enlightenment, then there's no need of compassion too. There's no suffering beings, also there's no need of compassion too. But of course, everyone has compassion, and compassion they had already developed, so they don't need the suffering to maintain that compassion. Because as I mentioned, once you reach certain level, the Bodhichitta mind never decrease, or you never lose it. So whether there's compassion or not, you still have that compassion. But also, so, but yeah. So maybe that is all. Maybe I will. Okay.
Amanda online had a question.
Okay.
Geshe,
Yes,
I was wondering.
No, I cannot hear. We cannot hear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We see your mouth moving, but
I'm
no
not on
sound.
mute. Oh,
No, she's not on mute. Okay,
I'm-
well, maybe while she's figuring that out, we can have Karen.
Maybe, or you can write it and then someone can read.
okay.
No, you can.
I was going to say, okay, so everything you've just said, I understand, but in the case of deep trauma, I mean, the literature is filled with stories in wartime. A man goes out, walks down the street to get bread for his family, comes back, the house is bombed to smithereens, everyone's dead. Now, I don't understand the connection between selfish attitude and loving kindness and karma, where that intersects in that kind of situation, number one. And number two, I don't know how he can recover ever really from that kind of depth of trauma.
Of course, I think it is not going to be easy for anyone, especially those who have not trained, when someone kills your loved ones, even one person's, even maybe there's a reason. When you lose someone, whatever way, especially in such way, definitely it is not easy. And then, of course, in such situation as you described, of course, it is not easy, but it's not possible. That is what I would say. To not to be traumatized by that. For a certain individual who have practiced over the times, because of their incredible strong practice, who is able to forgive immediately and instead feel more compassion for the people who bombed, while they feel the grief and sad of loss in such unfortunate way. Losing is already great loss, but at the same time, because of their strong practice, instead of being upset and angry and all of that, they can let it go, feel to be able forgive, and not only forgive, they have the ability even for compassion for them, those who did that. I do believe it's possible. Throughout the history, there are many, many examples of those individuals who have been able to do in different spiritual paths. In our own time, there are many Tibetans. Not everyone's successful, but there are many great practitioners who have been able to keep love and compassion, even though their family members was killed. Some in a very bad way, through torturing, for no reasons, because you are working for government, because you are rich, because you are practicing your spiritual path, for all these reasons, nothing more than that, being tortured and killed. Still that, there are a lot of practitioners who are not been traumatized by that, who are able to forgive, let it go, and not only that, some of them even feel compassion for them. So I do believe we humans have the capacity and ability to do that. Of course, it requires a lot of practice over the time. So the karmic things is, I think, I don't think I can answer in such a, it might be, many time. Maybe about that, maybe we can discuss on Sunday, next subjects, 12 links, and in that karma comes. Maybe if you bring the caution at that time, maybe we can discuss more on that. I don't think I can answer in a few words. It's such a complicated subject. Were you able to get
Yeshua, she's chosen to email.
I cannot hear. Sound is very... Okay, maybe next time. Okay.
Oh, she will email you.
Okay.
Says. Oh, I was just going to mention, Geshe, regarding counterexamples of people who did recover from trauma. I'm looking at you now. Was for very recently, like in Savannah, Georgia, when that black church, that all those dozen people in that black church were gunned down. I mean, it was amazing. All those family members who came together and said, we don't hold any grudges against, what was the guy's name, Dylan Roof, and we forgive him. That was pretty powerful. Anyway.
Yeah, we can do the dedications. Yeah.
Okay. Derek. Dedication prayers. Gewadiñu duda lama sangye dugyone lo chikam maleva devi sala Jang Jub Sen Choren Boche Ma Ke Pana Ke Kyuchi Ke Wanyam Ba Me Ba Om Me Kong Du Pe Wa Shu His Holiness. Gangri Rave Korve Shinkante Bendang Dewa Malu Chungwe Jenre Sekwa Tenzen Yatso Hui Shabe Shide Bartu Tengyu. Prayer for Rinpoche's swift return. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Lozang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Buddha's precious and complete teachings, through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make requests. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of and the great waves of Bodhichitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortune and disciple.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good
Geshe.
night. Thank you.